What up, y'all? Mr. Zoo Nation, aka Savage Armor June Giraffe, coming at you with another episode of Deck Building 2. So, today is going to be very interesting because I do not have a deck profile for you, but instead, I do have a few suggestions when it comes to deck building Gredora. Because let's be real, it is called Deck Building Tuesdays. It doesn't always have to be a deck profile. Sometimes I just want to talk about possibilities that you can put in the deck that you are building, as long as it's subjected to building decks or anything else like that. I feel like that I would just feel comfortable with putting that particular type of content out. Now, this is also a top 10, even when you, like you see in the description and whatnot. I have like 10 grade threes that I feel like would definitely go in Gredora in both standard and premium. Because let's be real, the grade 3 lineup is like the most important lineup in this deck. You're already going to have 4 Gredora. You're probably going to run like maybe 8 or like 10 more grade 4, not grade 4s, grade 3s or anything else like that. So if you see a card that basically don't really exist in standard, more likely it is going to be in premium. Also, keep in mind that all the grade threes that are on this list doesn't necessarily have to be called to the rear guard circle in order for it to be, playable and whatnot. So, with that being said, because we do have a lot to go through, here we go. All right, number 10 is Sevenfold. Okay, so Sevenfold is very low on the list because it has a very high cost when you really think about it. Because let's be real, you need two grade threes in the soul, and everything has to be at rest when he attacks in order for it to do it. On top of that, you also have to do a counterblast. The reason why he's actually pretty good is because on attack he's going to be 30k, and this is before boosts, and this is also before triggers are happening. Once he attacks, he's going to be at 20 or 30k, and he's going to have the ability to force your opponent to discard a card, and you already know the rest of the effects. They have to um, have to, they can only call cards up to the number of like grades that card that they, discarded. So, they discard a grade 0, they can't block it at all. So you already know you get a critical trigger, you're more likely going to get more than one damage. I kind of feel like that this card definitely would have been like a little bit better than Antlion, but I feel like that the setup is just, it's just too much. If we did get that particular unit that would allowed us to put like a card from the hand into the soul, that's not machining base, then obviously this card would have been higher on the list. But I do feel like that you can tech this at 1 in premium in very late game. You already should have like at least 2 or 3 grade 3s in the soul. This comes in perfectly. So I do feel like that there's a huge setup, and you can only run it at 1, because if it goes to the damage zone or anything else like that, no hard feelings. That means there's 2 grade 3s that you could definitely save into the soul and everything else. Next up, number 9, Violent Vesper. Violent Vesper was the card and one of the major reasons why I actually wanted to make this list. It is a premium only card for like the standard only players who are like watching this, but the thing that I like about Violent Vesper is you get another card. And the reason why I thought about him is because you already know Hell Demise was like the one of like the number 1 grade 3 that everybody wanted to mix with Gredora. Well, you have Violent Vesper that can also, put in a little bit of contribute to like how Hell Demise does. Because Hell Demise allows you to get like at least 5 attacks. This could possibly get you a 6 if the right card is called on top. But I also feel like, and the main reason why he is so low on the list is basically because of the downfall. It only calls the top card. It's not like Gold Paladins or Neo Nectars or anything else like that you're allowed to look at a specific like number of cards and then call one of them from it. Nah, it's literally the top card of the deck. And especially if you're running like order cards, it can be a bust. But like the worst case scenario is you call like a heal trigger, which is definitely something that you don't want to. But then again, you do have like the stand trigger that allows you to put it into the soul and countercharge one, which is a thing. I think it's called Whittle Spider or something. Something's Whittle something. I'll put it up in the thing as I'm like editing this out. Number 8 is Metro Bullet. Now you're kind of thinking, well, he's a machining card. Why would you run him in Gredora? So here's the thing. Not every turn that you're going to be using Gredora is going to be a kill turn. Sometimes your opponent is going to be lucky to survive. And since you're calling out a lot of grade 3s, that basically means that like a lot of grade 3s are going to be in the front row, which means you won't be able to intercept. Hopefully we do get the Dimension Police treatment where we're able to like guard with grade 3s, but I highly doubt it. But anyway, with Metro Bullet, you can kind of sort of do something a little bit interesting. See, his first effect allows any machining card to boost if there are 5 or more rear guards on your field. So, if you have a full field, you basically he basically gets the ability to boost because he's a machining card and everything else. So not only you're gaining a 10k from Gredora skill, but you're also gaining the boost, the ability to boost, which means that you can put him behind a grade 2, especially something like Sticky Bolus, where you can get like another draw and whatnot. And you'll not only hit your opponent with like higher attack than you should, but also you have the ability to keep a grade 2 in the front row, which means you'll be able to intercept. So this works not only for standard, but it also works for premium. I feel like you can probably get away with it a lot more in premium format because of the grade 4 Gredora, but that's just me. Number 7 is Dove Speed. Now I know there's a lot of people who are actually trying to do both the cradle mechanic and the mill mechanic at the exact same time, which there is builds that actually works with that, and I feel like Dove Speed is an interesting addition. So the problem with Dove Speed, in my honest opinion, is he doesn't gain 10k, but he does have an ability where he not only mills 2 cards, but he allows you to force your opponent to guard with 2 or more cards from hand when Dove Speed attacks. Is rarely going to miss because you're milling 2 cards. So unless if you're milling like 2 grade 0s, then he's more likely going to have that particular skill. But with Gredora, he does gain the 10k, so now that missing power that he was supposed to get, he now finally gets with Gredora. And I also do believe that because you are milling 2 cards with one particular skill, it actually makes him a lot more usable and a lot more accessible, which is a little bit understandable. So honestly, he is an interesting thing. That he is an interesting choice in both standard and premium format. If you wanted to try it out. I mean, like worst case scenario, he is like a counterblast 1, so there's that. Number 6, Antlion. Now I know Antlion should be a lot higher on the list, but here's the reason why I put him lower. He is a very high cost, and like I said before, we were supposed to get a unit that allows you to put something like a grade 3 from your hand into the soul before you get to a grade 3 turn, and we technically got that, but it's only a machining unit, and there's no way you're going to be able to play Antlion with machining and actually have some type of synergy with it and whatnot because it doesn't have machining in his name. But Antlion is still a pretty good choice because he is still technically a game finisher. You are able to get grade 3s in the soul a lot faster in premium format. So I do feel like he's a lot more of a premium card than he is a standard card. But if you use him in standard, he's not that bad either, to be honest. And honestly, I do feel like that he has some type of usability still, despite, you having to discard 2 cards, despite that you also have to use him with Phantom Black, because that's the only way you're going to get his skill out completely good, and everything in between. So I do feel like he's still a good card. He's going to gain 10k from himself, going to gain 10k from Gredora, and whatever trigger skills that you have. So he does have a decent spot in a Gredora build. I just feel like he's still probably like a 2 of, or maybe even a 1 of if you really think about it. Number 5 is an interesting one, Gunning Kaleo. Now, Gunning Kaleo has no rear guard abilities, but here's the thing. The cradle mechanic is very good, but you also got to remember that if you're going against a deck like Pale Moon, or you're going to deck against a deck like Tachikaze, or anything else like that, the type of decks that are allowed to like still hit you with rear guard pressure but not keep rear guards on the field during your turn. In other words, like stuff that you can, you can target with the cradle mechanic. What are you going to do? Because at the moment there's no cards that allows you to put a cradle marker on one of your own units, which I do feel like that should be a thing, but it wasn't. So what else can you do? Well, gunning Kaleo is a pretty decent one, because if you're not going to give me rear guards in order for me to put cradle markers on it, then I'm just going to mill you to death. Now, of course, there's not that many mill cards that's going to be in the deck and whatnot, because mixing two mechanics is pretty difficult, so you need to keep a balance with that. But at the same time, I do feel like that gunning Kaleo is pretty much a perfect alternative grade 3 to play when you don't want to play Gredora on your certain turns and everything else like that. I even feel like that he's a decent finisher because he requires no counterblast. So if you have no counterblast up, just ride in the gunning Kaleo, mill the first card, use the second ability to get the guard restrict, and there's a possibility you'll win that particular turn. So honestly, I do feel like that gunning Kaleo is a pretty decent grade 3 to put into the deck. Number 4 is Alakides. Now, we didn't get Alakides in standard format, so of course he's a premium format only card. I do expect Bushiroad to make Alakides the next time Mega Colony gets support, but I do believe that he is a decent one for a couple of reasons. One, he has a decent rear guard ability. His first one allowing you to stun a whole column, and the second one, when you're at GB2, your opponent can't intercept and he gains 10k, so he's going to gain 10k from himself, 10k from Gredora, and whatever triggers that you get in that particular drive check. So honestly, he's a pretty decent, unit to use with as like an alternative grade 3 or anything else like that. The second reason is he's searchable with Sticky Bolus. Sticky Bolus allows you to search up to 2 dark faces with different names, which means that he's a target, Intimidate Immune Dark Face is a target, and Gredora is a target. So now you have one more target that you can definitely deal with. And honestly, I feel like that he's pretty decent overall, just to keep the Dark Face name in your grade 3 lineup. So honestly, he's worth, he's worth putting in the deck if you're building like a premium format version of her. Number 3 is Intimidate Immune Darkface. I'm not even going to really like spend time on this one because you already know Intimidate Immune Darkface is definitely, the go-to choice regardless if you're running them at 4, you're running them at 2, you're running them at 1, or even at 3, or anything else like that. I'm not even going to spend any more time on them. We're just going to go on to number 2, Hail Demise. Hail Demise is basically the major reason why a lot of people are going to probably start picking up Mega Colony, because it grants you 5 attacks and a protect deck, which is kind of sort of uncanny. Well, unless you like look at Herod or anything else like that. But anyway, it allows you to give 5 attacks. It allows you to multi-attack with Sticky Bolas, use her effect and everything else like that. It allows you to use like any other grade 3s that you have on the field, or even grade 2s, and if you want to use their effect more than once or anything else like that. And overall, you're doing multi-attack in a deck that doesn't really, grant multi-attacks like that often or anything else like that. In other words, it's easier just to do 5 attacks or even 4 attacks than just do like 3. Like, if you really think about it, there's not much I can really say about it, but you're kind of wondering why he's at number 2 and he's not at number 1. That's because the number one spot definitely goes to Cyclomatooth. The reason why I feel like Cyclomatooth is the best grade 3 to be used with Gredora, and in my honest opinion, the most underrated, is because he has good premium play, good standard play. He's not a bad target to ride on as your first grade 3. He has the ability to mill your opponent, gain 10k, and also have the possibility of gaining a built-in crit. And if he does, and you so happen to drive check into another critical, it makes it even better. He has very good pressure. He does go well with Phantom Black, despite that he can't really prevent your opponent from using sentinels like Antlion could. He's still like the next best thing. And at the same time, I do like his on right ability that allows your opponent to, that forces your opponent to discard a card and you gain 5k for each of those cards' grades. I feel like that all around, there's really no minus besides his cost, which is basically Counterblast 1 and Soul Blast 1. And again, if you're using him with Helldemize, you can basically use the skill twice, and there's a possibility that both times you'll get a critical trigger. Or if you didn't get one the first time, you'll probably get one the second time, and everything else like that. He definitely also contributes very well to the cradle mechanic slash mill mechanic, mixture that you'll do in the deck and whatnot. So honestly, he is overall, in my honest opinion, the best grade 3, and like I said before, the most underrated grade 3 that you're able to play in Gredora. And with that being said, those are my 10 grade 3s that can go with Gredora. I don't know what I'm going to do next week for what's his face for Deck Building Tuesday, but I will say that I noticed that I've hit over 50 subscribers in here, and I did hit over 100 in my Facebook page, which if you haven't followed my Facebook page at Savage Armor Jill and Giraffa, follow it and whatnot. I do memes and all the other shit. But anyway, overall, I am going to try to do like a subscriber special like sometime later this week. I want to say more likely Friday or anything else like that. Stay updated for my battles with the Vanguard Gladiator channel, with the Vanguard Gladiator thing and whatnot. But outside of that, my name is Zoo Nation, aka Salvage Rafa, signing out.